What's up, SFL Nation? And welcome back to SFL Nights with A.J.Striker. Thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decided to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. Really appreciate it, y'all. So as you can see, I am rolling solo this week. I did have a special guest host, but had to cancel, so no worries. I'll be happy to have him on next week as a special guest if he has the time to. I'd love to have him. But as you know, the show must go on. So I do have my week 5 review, my picks for week 6. And then I'm going to be doing a special mock draft review from Mike Tenscrew, who was gracious enough to provide all the content creators of the SFL with his personal thoughts on the draft. If the draft happened today, who would be taken at what position. So it's very interesting. And who just made the board, who kind of fell down, all of that good stuff. And then my 4th and Goal interview features running back and now GM of the Baltimore Vultures, T-Roy Gaines. And then I have Lone Star Glory, well, former Lone Star Glory member, I should say. He is now a free agent linebacker / head coach / offensive coordinator, Mr. Bryant Craven. So Mr. T-Roy Gaines, Mr. Bryant Craven, thank you for taking time out to be on the show. Glad to have you. So let's get started. So, I meant to also mention that Mike Tenscrew was also a part of the Madison Lynx SFLm Season 1 championship team. So absolutely amazing to hear from him and get some input on where he thinks the rookies are going for Season 17. So SFLm Week 5 action. I chose the Madison Lynx, the Ottawa Cavalry, the Lexington Miners, and the Tacoma Grizzlies to win their games. So let's see how well we did, shall we? All right. So the Lexington Miners took on the Memphis River Runners, and the River Runners won 24-17. I was wrong about this game. Passing, the River Runners had 187 yards. They had 51 yards rushing for 238 yards total. Their time of possession was 18 minutes and 43 seconds with 0 turnovers. The Miners had 216 yards passing, 78 yards rushing for 294 yards total. Their time of possession was 24 minutes, 50 seconds with 2 mistakes. Obviously, with the 2 mistakes that the Miners made a difference in this game. They held the ball longer. They had more passing and rushing yardage than the River Runners, but when you have the ball going the wrong way, that could definitely make a difference in you winning and losing. Halfback G.P. Wells was the player of the game with 27 attempts, 52 yards, 1 touchdown, 25 reception yards, and 1 reception touchdown. Congratulations. The Birmingham Fuel took on the Madison Lynx, and the Lynx won 19-3. I was right about this game. The Birmingham Fuel had 178 yards passing and only 64 yards rushing, 242 yards total. Their time of possession is 21 minutes, 33 seconds with 1 mistake. The Madison Lynx had 248 yards passing, 51 yards rushing, 299 yards total. Their time of possession was 22 minutes and 27 seconds with no mistakes. So Birmingham has been struggling all season. And they do have some bugs that they just have to get out of their system. So Madison took full advantage of that, showing significant difference in the passing and the passing game particularly. Rushing, Birmingham did a bit better than that for them. But those points do matter. They held the ball for maybe a minute longer, but again, Birmingham with the 1 turnover and not being able to really pass the ball the way they need to, I think that's one of the reasons why they lost this game. But the player of the game was wide receiver Uverse. Please forgive me if I messed that up. He had 13 receptions, 155 yards, 11.9 yards per catch. The San Jose Flight took on the Ottawa Cavalry, and the Cavalry won 20-6. I was right about this game too. The San Jose flight had 205 yards passing, 95 yards rushing, with 300 yards total. Their time of possession was 22 minutes and 15 seconds with 2 turnovers. The Ottawa Cavalry had 271 yards passing, but only 27 yards rushing, for 298 yards total. They held the ball for 20 minutes, 20 seconds with 2 mistakes, and it looks like the Ottawa Cavalry just, the score kind of doesn't reflect what the numbers say, because, you have 271 yards passing, which they had a great passing game, but only 27 yards rushing. I can easily see that going the Flight's way because they at least had 96 yards. But again, both of them were evenly matched in the turnover ratio, so I think it was just Ottawa's better passing game that definitely put them over the edge. Speaking of passing game, it was for this man, Mr. Wide Receiver Ryan Roosevelt. He was the player of the game that probably added to the reason why they had such a great passing game. With 11 receptions, 129 yards, 1 touchdown, and an average 11.7 yards per catch. Lastly, the Tacoma Grizzlies took on the Salt Lake City Rustlers, and the Rustlers won 16-3. And I do believe that I was wrong about this game. Yes, I was definitely wrong about this one. Tacoma had 162 yards passing, 43 yards rushing, 205 yards total. Their time of possession was 20 minutes and 5 seconds with 3 mistakes. The Salt Lake City Rustlers had 263 yards passing, 43 yards rushing, 306 yards total. They held the ball for 23 minutes, 41 seconds with 1 mistake. So, not only did the Salt Lake Rustlers make less mistakes, they had a better passing game. They were both evenly matched in the running game. So the defenses were very good at stopping their running backs from getting so many yards. But unfortunately, Tacoma's defense was not able to stop the passing game of the Salt Lake City Rustlers, thus them winning the game. And player of the game was Tommy Utah, quarterback, with 29 completions out of 36 attempts, 263 yards, 1 touchdown, and a quarterback rating of 94.8. All right, so that was it. I actually got, looks like 3 right, and wait a minute. I think I'm actually, it's 2 and 2, actually. 2 right, 2 wrong this week. So, some of y'all didn't like what I had to say, so y'all changed it. So, hey, good. Either way, congratulations to y'all. Glad you rookies are out there having a great time. I'm glad you SFLm coaches are out there doing your thing, too, because I have been seeing significant changes from every season. So, kudos to all of you for everything you do. And Andrew Rassicelli for keeping everything moving, because that's a hard job in itself. I can only understand what he goes through, as well as Cam. So kudos to you as well. All right, so this Friday, the Albuquerque Adams will be taking on the Madison Lynx. And I am going to go, let me back up. Sliding into week 6 action right now. And if you want to see these schedules, please visit our website at www.simulationfl.net. Be able to pull up all of these information, all of these, the stats from each team, including SFLm, schedules, this coming schedule for both majors and SFLm. We also have great podcasts, articles, things to keep you kind of busy, as well as you're able to join our Discord from that page. So do that. You'll be able to keep up with all the latest of SFL information. So, sliding back into what I was saying earlier, that the Albuquerque Adams will be playing the Madison Lynx this Friday, and I am thinking the Albuquerque Adams are going to take this win. They have fresh legs. They had a bye week last week. They've been 8-1 since the season started, pretty much. I don't think they've lost a game yet. So I think they're going to come in trucking. The Williams brothers have been doing their thing over there. So we're going to see how it all works out. The Lexington Miners will be taking on the Tacoma Grizzlies. And both of them are coming off fresh losses. I think both of them are going to really want it. So it's going to come down with this game to who has the ball last. I think I'm going to give a slight edge to the Lexington Miners, though. Now, when I say slight, maybe about a 3-point difference. But I think that the Miners are going to win this game. A little bit more stacked on the offense. Tacoma does have Brad Jones, but it looks like they had an answer for him this week. So if Lexington can actually stop him, perhaps slow down that passing game, they probably have a shot. So we'll see. Lexington on this one. The Ottawa Cavalry will be taking on the Memphis River Runners, which should be a fantastic game to watch. Ottawa is coming off a fresh win, as well as the Memphis River Runners this week. So it's going to be kind of difficult to choose. Definitely, man, I want to give it to the River Runners, though. I think Ottawa can be a little bit... You don't know what to expect from Ottawa. You don't know which offense. Kind of like the Carolina Skyhawks, I was told. You don't know what kind of offense that you're going to get, per game. So I think that they won this game last week. I think that the Memphis River Runners are going to take this win this week, And then lastly, the Salt Lake City Rustlers will be taking on the San Jose Flight. With the way that the Salt Lake City Rustlers have been playing, I think I am going to go with them. San Jose is no slouch either. They have been, making significant strides as well. But I think that Salt Lake City is just going to kind of have that little, I think maybe like a 3-point to 7-point difference in the score, and I think they're going to come out with the win. So like I said, please don't think I'm being mean, don't think I'm being biased or anything, but these are just my thoughts, my opinions. Don't mean no harm. We wish all of you good luck and things like that. And hey, if you have any comments, just put them in our comment section so I can read them, and let me know what you're thinking about everything. All right, so we slide on over to Mr. Mike 10 Screws mock draft. All right, so we have here on the screen his take basically on with all of the rookies in place. On the green, I don't know if you guys can actually see it on your screen on your side, but the green will be up from last week. Pink will be, pink will be down from last week. White will be no change from where they were from last week. And the tannish color will be first week on the board. So in the quarterback division, we have Joseph Green up from last week, while OJ Bruin is actually down. Tommy Utah is still sitting pretty at number 3. You have David Burr that moved up from last week. Scar Patterson actually moved down. Eric Price is still at number 6. Trellis Blankton has moved up from last week. Johnny Reno has moved down from last week. And we have Gene Struthers sitting at the number 9 position for quarterbacks. For running backs, we have Douglas Brown moving up from last week, with Bailey O'Shaughnessy moving down. Brad Jones moved up 1 notch, and Jimmy Hazard moved down. Have G.P. Wells, Brooke Basil, Randy Squarebush, Trey Finnick, and Adrian Ellis, all in the 5th through the 9th positions. On the fullback part of everything, we have Aaron Alexander, Terrell Sutherland, Hanzo, Paul Ramo, and Chris Bryden, all sitting in their same positions as they were last week in the fullback position. And for wide receivers, I did notice that Nick Lockett and Henry Meyer III did slide down from their rankings from last week, but David Jenares, Mike Savage, Josh Stiles, Mike Churchill, and Ezra Adams have moved up in the rankings. Number 1 would be Nate Ritters, followed by Kelsey Brown, with Blackwell, Shane Kaufman, and Ryan Roosevelt. Coming in the 8th position would be Usis Nanova and Doug Spelling. And coming in the last 4 positions would be Logan Strange, Ace Sharp, Zachary Patton, and Oregon Darby. The tight end position includes Paulie Truth, Jim Copeland Jr., and Rupert Westerlo. Now, please forgive me, guys, if I mess up your name. That is not my intention. but you all have some very interesting names. All sitting in the 1 through 3 position did not move, and Bill Henry and Eric Catcham, I like that for a tight end, Catcham, moved up from last week, while Tylon Steele, Caesar Ackerman, and Yaron Hammer have moved down. And welcome to the rookie board, Anthony Delano. Offensive lineman, Perian Alra, still in number 1 position, while Nathan Furry and Z Cummings moved up a couple notches. Aiden Bleeker moved down a notch. Johnny Van Man, Patrick Kelly, Brian Finch are all sitting at the 5th, 6th, and 7th positions, the same as last week, while Mitchell Witters has jumped on the board. So welcome, Mitchell. Defensive end, we have John Laley moving up to the number 1 spot, while Morgan Sparrow has fallen down to the number 2 spot. You have Frank Stackhouse, John Swift, Mike Browley, Morgan Mills, Marcus Sledge, Marcus Sledge sitting 3 through number 7. And then first week on the board was Mr. Matthew Holford, welcome, while Mr. Julius Maximus has slid down 1 to the number 9 position. Defensive tackle includes Robert Caron, Chance Wall, T.C. Turner, and Isaac Forster, all sitting in the same positions that they were last week, 1 through 4. Linebackers, you have Axel Raven, London Thunderman, Garrett Hudson, Stephon Forge, Stephen Black, and David Ware, all sitting between the 1 and 6 positions, while Earl Fields the fifth and Taz Blackwell have moved up in their positions. Miles Gibson has moved down. And starting from number 10 on down would be John Martin, Boogie Barr, Philadelphia Collins, Derek Williams, Zed Markov, Yakov Zolotov, Kay Shine are all sitting for those positions. And first time on the board, Josh Slapp, Jaleel Usman, and Zeus Howard. Cornerback, we have Cody Griffin, Jahad Brody, sitting in the number 1 and 2 positions. Up from last week would be Don Fletcher, and down from last week would be Jermaine Minifield. Xavier Hawkins, Terrence Pearson, Jay Rock, Daryl Bullock, Ty Woodson, Laquan Smith, Daniel Valentine are all sitting between 5 and 16 positions. That would be 10 and 15 positions. And then we want to welcome Royce Vance onto the rookie board, while Josh Ramsey has slipped to number 13. Free safeties, Isaiah King III and Justin Reside are sitting at number 1 and 2. Danny Wright has actually moved up in the power rankings, while Josh Rowe has moved down. Then you have Gerald D. Gone. You have Deshaun Evans, Mike Lister, Ronnie Renfro, Amari Rari are still in the same positions as they were last week, while we welcome Kenny Miller and Cyrus Jive onto the board. Strong safety, sitting at the number 1 and 2 positions are Dante Grimm and Frank Cluster. We have Miss Isabella Blackwell. How you doing, girl? Moving up in the power rankings, with Mike Jones actually moving down. We have Harry Husky, Nana LaHaye sitting at number 5 and 6, while Bryant James, Adrian Blaine, and Kenny Slider have moved up in their positions. Danny Sacalanders, please, like I said, forgive me, guys. And Terrence Weary sitting at number 10 and 11 spots. Kicker, punter position, Dane Morrow and Paul T. Pawlowski sitting at number 1 and 2. So that was the power rankings. That's every rookie that is in the league right now. If you watch closely, you'll be able to see them actually moving up and down every week. Mike Tinscrew is very good at updating all of this information, so you can actually go to his Twitter handle at VISIGOTHVWO, or just simply look up Tin Screw and it'll take you right to him, all right? Next up, we have my 4th and Goal interviews. Enjoy.
All right, everybody, welcome back to my fourth and Goal interview with tonight's guest, Mr. T. Roy Gaines, the Baltimore Vultures. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Ashley. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's a long time no see, brother. You know, you started off on the show, you know, doing your thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, you had to go. So it is good to have you back.
See, I followed my status on Discord. If I'm ever online, people see underneath my name is Incognegro. So that's what I've been doing. See, it worked a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. But yeah, man. So I just wanted to know, you know, besides how you doing, and first question, how did you think that overall your season went with the Baltimore Vultures? Your season and then the team season.
All right, my season, poor. It was horrible. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Worst season per wise. It was bad. Cannot sugarcoat it at all. But we was able to get the wins in spite of my poor performance this year, and that's the reason why we're gonna be getting a new halfback for sure. But personal wise, it stuck. just can't say anything better than that. But the team wise, we did well in spite of my poor performance. We was able to make the playoffs and able to get to the quarterfinals. We didn't have to do a wild card game, so we went straight to the quarterfinals. Got a good win against Lone Star. Unfortunately, season ended earlier than we wanted against Ford. Overall, while we're not happy we didn't repeat, you know, it was still a good season when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I must agree. You know, I did notice a change in your performance, and I was curious as to whether it was the legend settings that Cam now has on with us, or is it, you know, is it just things are changing in the league? Is it because, you know, other people? Because I see with the London Knights, that was the only time. Let me make sure that was the only time that you actually had over 100 yards this season.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything, be real. Go for the balance running back, which was last season. I think only 2 balance running backs existed, and both me and the other person got their butts kicked. So if you were a power back or a finesse back, you had a great season. If you weren't, you're like me now, out of job as a running back. So,
well, and I'm sure that's not going to be for too long, but for those that don't know the differences between the power back, the running back, and the balance back, would you care to just kind of give the differences for me?
All right, so the difference was power backs, like I was before season 15, you're able to basically break tackles in a more physical way, like Jared McChesley has been doing, or if you've been around for a while, like Zach Sandlin before he left the league, or like if you want to compare it to NFL player, Derek Henry tackles and then have a 20 to 30 carry game for over 100 yards, and you can route the defense in a physical way. Finesse back are the speedy backs. I'll say BDG is one of those. I'm trying to think who else was a speedy back. I can't think of that now. But look at the SFLm, you now see the players that are around doing power and speed. They're not too many people. I'm not for sure how many are speed backs are the ones that are currently doing well in the SFLm, if I'm not mistaken. Bounce back is kind of like a person who doesn't know what they want to do in a relationship. They're not committed. They don't know if they want to be one or the other, in or out. So that's basically what a bounce back is. They can get stuff done, but not in the legend settings.
Gotcha. I think one of the ways I heard it described was you're good at everything, but not great at anything. It's right. You know, so Yeah, I mean, it is something, to take into consideration, especially since you have been a balanced back for so long. I mean, you've been in the season since season 11,
Mm-hmm.
in the league, I should say, since season 11. So it's crazy what a change in settings will do to your player. So, I mean, but like, it wasn't too terrible, but it was not the T-Roy that we were used to getting those large numbers. But I'm sure you got something in the works for that.
Yes, we do. Can't say anything about that, but yes, we do.
Dang it. I was trying to, come on, man. But yeah, so as far as broadcasting and podcasts, for a minute you stopped. Can you hear me?
Oh. I hear you.
Oh, so for a minute you kind of stopped. You kind of took a back seat to that. Mm-hmm. Was there something going on? Did you want to kind of focus on, personal life? Did you want to kind of focus on the team a little bit more? Why did you stop for a minute?
One, bad juju, because I think that does count. The main thing is, not involved in the league. That had drastically affected me big time, to the point where I needed to just step back and just focus on the team, because that was my only joy that I was getting during that season. So that time frame from when I stopped doing podcasts, I think it was week 3 of the SFL season up until the SFLm season started back up. And I knew that with my attitude at that point, I wasn't going to get quality work that'll be worthy of being on a podcast or worthy of being being on the broadcasting team. I even told Mike Daggs that as well, the broadcast director. So it was time for me to step away. I told Mike that, hey, when the SFL season comes back around, I'll be happy to rejoin. Only reason why I'm been gone for, it'll be 2 weeks now, because next week I'll be back in the booth for SFLm. But I guess during that time I got named the GM of Baltimore. I was already the vice president, so I got named GM. So I'm doing GM duties and things are getting better. But yeah, the main reason is that real life IRL was seriously kicking my butt. If some folks even noticed it on Facebook, like, hey, why don't see you on Facebook anymore? Because I'm friended everybody. I got that depressed, and I didn't want to spill my life story out anymore. It's just like, yeah, everybody had to go. It was nobody's fault. It's just that I didn't feel like airing out anything for a while.
And I definitely understand that, man. Sometimes you do got to kind of take a step back and handle things like that. But I'm assuming since you are with the SFLm and you're doing the broadcasting there, that everything is kind of, passed over, the issues that you were having are kind of under control, I should say.
It's better now than it was even, I want to say, last month. It really, I think, can you see more gray in my chin now? The stress that I was getting. I had is yours for a while since I stopped carrying, but now everything's getting better. So
good. That's good to know. That's very good to know. So tell me, what is some advice that you want to give some of the upcoming rookies that are joining the league, that want to be that are trying to decide where they want to take their player and how to progress their player? What are some pointers for them?
Well, it all depends on if you're trying to join a team. You want to look at the player openings and see if your player's going to be able to match what's the teams are looking for in the SFL. If so, you want to progress or talk to your coaches, see if you can get your player to match that style in hopes that you get drafted. The team, hopefully, we will draft you by the league itself, GMs or the owners, both. Let them know that, hey, I'm interested in joining your team at this position. We'll talk to you and let you know, hey, good fit or not right away. If you are, of course, nobody can commit to anything yet because it's not draft time yet, but we'll make sure, and I'm talking about we as in the collective group of the owners, the GMs, will keep in touch with you and work with you. If you need any help, just text, DM, contact anytime. I mentioned this on Dave X's show. I mentioned it on here. If you need to promote yourself as an O lineman, one, just look at how your running back is doing. If he's having a good season, it's most likely because of you leading the way and blocking. If your quarterback didn't get sacked so many times, it's most likely because of you. So there's one way to promote yourself in a position that really doesn't get any shine in the stats category. So that's an example of what you can do to promote yourself. So promote yourself. You can find ways to do so.
Okay.
And then, of course, being in chat. And people do notice that in Gen chat and the game chat on YouTube when we're watching the games, people do notice how you respond. So if you guys are doing poorly and we see you being positive in spite of that fact, that's going to be a huge positive that any team is looking forward to.
Okay. Gotcha. Good advice, man. And congratulations on becoming GM. You know?
Thank you.
It only took you a few
that
seasons.
surprised me. I wasn't even thinking about that. I wasn't even trying to do that. It's just KTJ came and DM'd me while I was at work. It's like, hey, me and T-Pat would like to see if you want to be a GM too. It's like, you're already vice president. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So I wasn't even attempting to be a GM here, but hey, it's just like me being vice president. Wasn't even attempting to be that. It just happened. So I'm very thankful that I have the
opportunity. Gotcha, man. That is a, it's an honor to be bestowed upon. But it's something that always kind of intrigued me about you is that you are probably you are so hard on yourself. Like in the chats, like when you're looking at your performances, when I notice you in, watching your game, like you get into it, like seriously. Why?
Can you repeat that?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No worries. So when you are in the games, when you're watching the games, and when you are in the chats, I noticed that you are super hard on yourself sometimes. Why is that?
Yeah, because my performance, I think my team is depending on how I perform. If I perform well and we're a balanced attack, then other teams cannot focus on one thing. They can focus poorly. I knew that, unfortunately, Jack had to throw the ball way more times than he needed to. And that presents more opportunities for turnovers, unfortunately. And Jack had a rough season because of that. Our offense struggled because of my play. So I knew, and that's the reason why I'm hard on myself, that if I don't help balance things out, our team's going to struggle on offense. And while we had games where we just scored 100 yards once this season, that's not good. That's not going to be even noteworthy for me making the Pro Bowl this year. So I'm definitely not expecting that this year after I've been there the last two seasons. If our offense was a little bit more balanced of me doing my part, there would be a good chance we've been in that championship game against Denver if I was able to be more consistent than what I was. If I was able to perform like McChesney did, like Buletsky did, like Doyle had, like R.E. Mills had. Those are the four running backs that made it to the championship game. We would have been in that championship game. Defenses didn't have to worry about the running game, so they'll be able to key off the passing game, and we hurt tremendously. So that's why I'm hard on myself. It's like, hey, if I don't do well, opposing teams ain't going to worry about the running game. They can just force our quarterback to throw the football 50 times because there's no running game whatsoever. So that's why, because I knew what's on the line if I don't do well.
Gotcha. So as GM, are you going to be kind of hands-on with the playbook, or are you going to be kind of just dealing with the locker room in a sense?
It's still going to be locker room stuff. Only thing I won't be doing is playbook because I don't have an Xbox 360 and I don't have All Pro Football 2K8. What my responsibilities has grown to be is, talking to free agents. I'll be working with contracts, talking to rookies, trying to get everybody signed, trying to get everybody to do their progressions and make sure everything's done on time. So any other behind the scenes duties that involves GM, I think you're GM yourself, right? I'll be doing more of that stuff, except I just won't be able to do anything playbook wise because again, nope. Xbox 360, no Pro Football 2K, but other stuff, yes, I'll be involved in. Can't hide now. So on the draft seat, I guess when it's draft time, I will have to be on TV again.
Yep.
Yeah,
sure
that
will.
sucks.
Yep. You'll be sitting right next to me.
I hope that the draft is after I work. You're that work and not during it. Otherwise, that's going to be a problem.
I mean, yeah, but that was absolutely amazing to be able to be a part of that last year. I had never done anything like that. You know, you kind of have a little nerves because you're actually on television, but at the same time, it kind of goes away once everything starts up. And the only thing I will advise you to do is make sure you have a nice rookie list ready. You know, I wish I would have done that a little bit better as far as having all of the different rookies like right in front of me. We had a spreadsheet we were using, but I was trying to kind of view, and it just wasn't working out. But since I know what to expect, now I can be better prepared. But, you know, right. You're a broadcaster, so of course you got it. You got it.
Yeah, I should be fine. But I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about, you know, being on Zoom like this when it's time for me to make the pick. I wasn't talking about being on the actual show. You went a little bit farther than I was going on that one. I don't think I can be. Well, see, I wasn't even thinking about being on the draft show because I'm not for sure I'm going to be up for that long. I don't know how long this draft's going to be. There's like at least, unless something changes, Baltimore should be picking near the end of the draft. So as long as I don't have to be there from the start to the end, I just have that one part and I'm good. So I ain't gonna be on that show for the whole time. No.
I mean, but I think that is kind of optional though. So if you just want to be able to put the name in the room that whomever y'all, you know, gonna want to drafting at that time, then you can do that. But if you want to be on it or if you can, you know, then yeah, that's something that's kind of optional though. But you know, I understand you getting old, you can't hang out like you used to. I get that.
See, it's not like I was a bouncer, what I had all the time in the world. Now I'm super busy.
Yeah. I get that. You know, that such is life, man. Things change and it looks like it's, you know, going in a positive direction for you. So I'm really happy to be able to be a witness to that. Because, you know, I have seen you with the struggles and now it seems like you're coming out good on the other side. So that's good. So without giving out too much information, because I know you can't, what are your plans for season 17? Do you plan on getting back into broadcasting despite the juju, or are you going to kind of hold off? Like what are your plans? And even for your, I can't ask you for your player, but
now my plans in the public eye won't be changing. I won't be in the broadcast booth for the major leagues. I'm going to stay out from that. And so when I do broadcasting, it'll be SFLm basically until they say I can't do it anymore. And so that's it. So I'm nothing against the SFL broadcast stuff is going on. It's easier for me work-wise to do the SFLm. Okay. When it comes to my player, I think Rastelli said that I can mention something, but in respect to TJ, I'm still going to wait until anything officially made. I know part of my fear is what happened with other teams where they had players who premature their contract and they couldn't sign on to the team that they thought they were going to sign on. And I don't want to repeat that, especially I just don't want that to happen. We don't want to ruin anything. So, but the goal is for us is to get a new halfback, get a new linebacker, and get ready to do our best to repeat. Not repeat. We can't do that. That failed. But do our best to get back into the playoffs and hopefully get ring this season, as early as the season. We hope so. I know everybody's like, heck no, we ain't gonna let you do that. But you know, that's the goal. I think everybody's goal is to make the championship. If they're not planning, not doing it right. So everybody's goal is to make it to that final game, to be a part of that great broadcast, that experience, and we want to be a part of that again. Because man, you saw that hype video that Bo Martin did, one of your partners earlier. It was amazing. I want to be a part of that.
It was so dope. Yeah. Like that got me excited and I went nowhere near it. You know what I mean? So I get it. I was muted. But
Ashley, you're the one supposed to be a pro at this, not me.
Listen, mistakes happen, man. That was just I got a little bit too excited, I guess.
Hey, at least it wasn't on national TV. I think I did a broadcast just to make a mistake. Now it's one of my mistakes. I think I did a broadcast. Me and Jeremy Vega, the Night Wings owner, did a game, and I accidentally called him Steve because I had Stephen Hacker as the broadcast the week before. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even know why I went there calling him Steven by accident. I think this is when I was still a bouncer at the time, but I felt so bad because I didn't want to disrespect Jeremy like that, but I called him Steven. So and I think it was on a televised broadcast. So I felt extremely bad during that game.
But for all they knew that his name could have been Steven, but you know how people change their name in the league. You know, that Jeremy could be.
You don't need to add any more fuel to.
I was trying to help you.
Don't need to add any. Nah, that's okay. We don't need to add any more fuel to Jeremy's fire, man. When he's motivated, he's gonna whoop everybody's butt. So I said the wrong thing too. I was about to say the wrong word.
So, what did you think about Denver winning the championship?
It was very good. They were butt kickers this year. They whooped my team's butt and whooped my butt. Personally, earlier that year, they were just dominant in all phases of the game, and you guys almost got them. That would have been and you guys were the closest to beat Arizona. See, I did it right there. Closest to beat Denver besides Damon's team. So yeah. I was rooting for you guys solely because of that factor, and I'm friends with you guys, but also with Denver. There's one player that on our team as a non-contract fullback, and that's R.E. Mills. So I was lit personally for him for Kramer Jack epic of ways, which is a walk-off field goal for the pick. So even though I just said that on this legend setting, and it was very impressive, and they deserved that second ring this year. Hopefully, we'll find the magic that Jeremy had and be able to duplicate that success so we can keep it from being easy for Denver to repeat. So
I think much like when you're introducing something and everybody's trying to get a feel for it, I think that this season is going to be different because people have actually ran since they played games. They understand kind of what legends, the differences between the normal settings and what legend settings have to offer. So I think that it will be even more competitive this season than it was last season, because everybody is having that understanding as to you can't just sit back and just watch the Sims play. You literally and not spend as much time on it because everything is a lot different. So I think that, with all the changes coming down the pipeline, with everything else that's going on, that this season will definitely be more competitive, man. So, but yeah, but T-Roy, I know that you're busy and I appreciate you for being on, spending some time with me. And of course, you're invited to come back whenever you want to. Be happy to have you again. If you have any more news you want to actually let everybody know, just let me know, and I'll be happy to have you on. But thank you. And but I can't let you go without giving you the last word as usual. So that can be a song, a poem, or a shout out. Right now, the floor is yours.
See, I remember. I think there's one game me and Cam did, and I told him, it's like, hey, that Ashley's probably watching this. She's probably hating us because we're basically blasting out lyrics to songs during the game, and we will never sing on her show. And he's like, well, we're just mouthing them. We're not really singing them, which is a good point. Still not going to sing. Sorry. Not going to sing. But I definitely want to thank you for having me on your show again. I appreciate it. Also, want to thank the Baltimore Vultures locker room, starting off with the highest, which is TJ and Dr. T Pat. Thank you for the opportunity to have me as your GM. Thank you for my teammates for being very supportive of that promotion for me, and I'll make sure I do my best not to let you guys down, make you guys proud, and we'll be ready to come back and make some noise. The championship game in season 17. SFL Nation, thank you guys so much for your support, and I sincerely appreciate that, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys soon, either or Dave's, or even in the booth for SFLm action.
Sounds good, man. Looking forward to having you again. All right. Be safe out there.
You too.
All right.
All right, SFL Nation, welcome back to my second, fourth, and gold interview. Tonight's guest is the wonderful, the magnificent Craven. How are you doing?
I don't think I can achieve that high bar you just set for me, but I'm doing well, thank you.
I mean, hey, listen, you've been doing a whole lot of stuff since the last time you have been on the show. I think you mentioned,
yes.
You mentioned off camera that, you haven't been back on the shows for like 4 seasons. And to you, I apologize, but I do know you've been a busy man with coaching and everything, with having your own show and all of that. So
yeah, it turned into this turned into a thing. It turned into a kind of a big deal. going from me with a plate of nachos going, what the heck is this? What did I just find, to this. It's been a journey.
Yes, it has been, and a good one though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So for those that did not get to catch you the first time that you were ever on my show, let's get a little bit of background about Coach the Man himself. So, what is your age, your hometown, some interesting facts about you, and your favorite NFL team?
Age, I'm 53. Wow. Hometown, I actually is about almost 2,000 miles away now, I think. Well, the train ride was 2,000 miles. My hometown is in Oregon, and near Portland, near the Portland area. But now I live in Oklahoma. Been here just about a month, not quite a month. And interesting fact about me, almost everybody knows I coached high school football for 21 years. I've worked fishing boats. I've been a limo driver. I was a UPS driver. I've done all kinds of different jobs. Worked at a winery, worked on a farm, did mortgages for a while. I've done all kinds of jobs. The job's never really been the thing. It's always been to free myself up to coach. So, what was the last question? Favorite NFL team? If I'm gonna, I watch college more than I watch the NFL.
Okay.
But if I have to have probably 49ers. I root for the 49ers.
All right, well, that's cool. Who's your favorite college team?
Well, the Oregon Ducks. Tend to root for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I did live in South Dakota for 7 years, and they were kind of the closest team. I don't say Nebraska very loud now that I'm in Oklahoma. But and then I've always had an affinity for Notre Dame. My father, I came along late in the family, and so my father was a college coach for almost 45 years, and I didn't even know all of the people that he knew, but he had a pretty deep connection with Notre Dame for several years, and back when they were good, and University of Oklahoma, and and I find out all this stuff going through his stuff after he passed away, but I always knew about Notre Dame, so I always kind of root for them. I just like they've got a little bit higher academic standard than everybody else, so they're playing on not a level playing field. When they're doing well, it's kind of fun to see. So the truth be told, I will watch any college game anywhere. Half the time I'm watching Division II or Division III, just because it's different. So
Gotcha. That is very interesting, man. Now, you said that you were kind of a jack of all trades as far as jobs go. What is your favorite? Which one was your favorite adventure, I should say? I would think the winery one would. I would love to work at a winery.
It was wasted on me. I don't drink a lot of wine. Favorite? Okay. My favorite job, I didn't mention it, but this sprung out of working on fishing boats. I delivered yachts for a while.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. We'd pick them up in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
It was myself and another guy. I was 20. He was like 22. And we'd pick these brand new yachts, 80 footers, 90 footers, 130 footers, you know, big boats. Pick them up and take them somewhere like San Diego to drop them off. And it'd take us about 10 days because it's new. You're not supposed to push it too hard. Right. And the girls in the office would fill up the galley with food. We'd have the corporate card for fueling up. And we're on this boat, this really amazing boat at sea. We'd usually push it and stop at Monterey Bay for a couple of days because the girls didn't
why
need,
not?
Well, the girls didn't need to know it wasn't my boat. So, you know, have a little bit of fun. We'd get to San Diego or wherever. Usually it was San Diego. That was kind of the jumping off point. A lot of the crews to pick them up. We'd get there, check into the harbor office. There'd be a plane ticket either back home or back to Seattle to pick up another boat. There'd be a check for $800, $500, depending on whatever the job was paying. That was it. That was the job. I had no expenses. Yeah, that's the best job. It wasn't sustainable. I went and met somebody and fell in love with her, and she wanted me home every night. So, you know, couldn't do that job anymore. But that was the best job. That was the best job.
That is dope, man. I love that.
I'm probably too old for that lifestyle now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, hey, listen, all you're doing is driving the boat. You're not. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's the other part I'm too old for.
Stop it.
I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead yet.
That's right. That's right. So tell me, Brian, how did you find the league in the first place?
Sheer dumb luck. I had discovered that you could find people streaming NFL or college games or whatnot on Twitch. I didn't have cable, and just find them wherever. And one day I was scrolling through, and I wasn't looking that close. Saw something. I hit the button on my PlayStation remote. Went in the other room, finished some things up, and I could hear the announcers. I can't remember who. I think the first game was Sioux Falls, and I can't remember who the first game was. Well, no, it was Sioux Falls and somebody. Anyway, and I hear the announcers in the other room, and I'm going, oh, it's like some regional. I've got some regional small college game or something. These guys, not bad, right? And I, do my thing, and I'm going to have a little lunch. So a little plate of nachos, come walking, and I sit down. I'm like, what the heck am I watching? And then my first thought is, a couple of nerds are just doing commentary over this video game. That's kind of cool. And then I'm looking at the chat window, and I'm going, man, that's an awful lot of people, And then I asked the immortal words. I typed in the immortal words that we have all seen. What is this? Yeah. And people start chatting. You probably put the, that thing welcome to the SFL, and I'm going, okay, that's pretty cool. And I always ran like my sports video. I always run them sim. I got tired. I got bored, kicking the CPU's butt with, my thumb skills. And so I always ran it that way anyway. So then I said something about I'd be curious to see the playbooks, and Andy Hamilton goes, sounds like a future coach. And here we are. So,
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great, man. And you're probably right. I probably did say something about, hey, come join us.
You jump on new people so fast. It's like you're poised, you're waiting for it. You're ready to pounce. But that's good. It's the league in general is a very welcoming place, and that's part of it. That's part of what's so welcoming about it. So.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, you say that you actually coach. high school. But have you played sports yourself?
Excuse me. Yes, I played up through. I played football up through my freshman year of college. I had a shoulder injury going into it that we knew was a little sketchy. I made it. I didn't expect to play my freshman year. I thought I was going to redshirt, and then a couple of injuries happened, and I was playing. I made it through the season. I was a strong safety, and I made it through pretty small. Even at Division III, I was a pretty small, strong safety, about 175 pounds. And that message, I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It keeps, that message didn't get to my brain. And so I was, launching myself into people. And end of the year, I had to have shoulder surgery. And the doctor was like, listen, we're going to be doing this surgery every year you keep playing football. And
Let's give it a.
And I knew I was never going to play on Sundays, so I quit there. I went back. I was playing in South Dakota where my father had coached in Sioux Falls, University of Sioux Falls, and I went back to Oregon where my family was, and I did end up playing 2 years of college basketball. Which I had not played in high school. I was a wrestler in high school, I did everything: football, wrestling, track, baseball, all that, all the way through.
That's good, man. So you've been active, so you know what it takes to be not only a teammate but to be a coach. That said, when you first joined Vancouver, you had your brother Doug Day with you, and you guys have been just like brothers. I know it's not by blood, but it might as well be, because you guys are like a joint at the hip. And then you went over to Lone Star Glory. So tell me, what happened in Vancouver that led you to Lone Star?
It was Charles. It wasn't that I wasn't unhappy in Vancouver. It just Charles got Lone Star, and he offered me coordinator position, and I didn't know. I had a few things to. For those that haven't done it, it takes a little bit to figure out how to get the playbook to do what you want, and even then, it doesn't always do what you want. And I just started coaching. That was the first year of the minors, and I was doing San Jose, and our offense was actually doing okay. And it's like, all right, well, at least I got a little bit of a feel for this and pretty comfortable with this. And so Charles offered me that spot, and Charles and I talked all the time. He was one of my closer friends at Vancouver. And so, I went, and they had spots for Doug too. And away you go. And then a little bit of you're learning. You got to learn things. We had a up and down first part of the season, but then the offense kind of took off. And I give all the credit for that to Gerald Smith. Gerald spent a couple of hours more than once kind of helping with the ins and outs of, you put this formation in, and it's going to dominate the playbook, and you won't get the other stuff called, just the little things that the vets knew and are unwilling to share. And I get it. I'm not blaming anybody, but the answer you get, you're like, hey, how do you do so and so? And they go, you got to figure that out for yourself. I'm like, fine, that's just how that came about. And, Charles gave me a shot.
All right. And that's good. So why did you leave? Well, why did you leave Lone Star Glory?
Well, I never thought I would, actually. And we brought in Greg season before this, and he wanted to be an offensive coordinator, and I wasn't really ready to not be doing anything. I'd only really had a year, and but Charles gave his word, and that I respect that. Got to keep keeping your word, and so I was head coach last season, and frankly, didn't feel like I was doing anything. I'd make suggestions, and sometimes I'd take them, sometimes I didn't, and that's fine. But I didn't want to be sitting in the captain's chair directing the ship. I wanted to have my hand on the wheel, and so opportunity came up to do that, and I went somewhere else, and it worked out. I think it worked out for the best. Kind of opened up my eyes a little bit to the possibility of being elsewhere in the league, because I was pretty closed off to that idea. I didn't really want to go anywhere else, but the way it's worked out, I think, has been fantastic, and I think all three of us, because we're kind of a package deal, me, Doug, and my buddy Cam Collier, team we're going to has got spot for all of us. It's pretty exciting. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I know I can't ask you exactly where you're going because that'll be breaching the contract, but
right.
I kind of have an idea. I mean, I don't know for sure. I think just judging by the needs of certain teams, I think I know where you're going. But
if you kind of know what's going on, you kind of look, you can kind of see. Yeah, you might. Right. You can tell me later if that was if you're correct.
But I was wondering, how paramount was that for you, Doug, and Cam to be on the same team? If it was a situation to where they would have taken maybe one of you or two of you, but not the other, would you still went to that team, or was it important for all three of you guys to be there together?
Well, I mean, it was when it came up, and I tell Doug everything, right? And it's like, yeah, probably going to be leaving Lone Star. He knew, and it wasn't a big deal. And he goes, well, I go where you go. Like, okay. And then Cam, I've known Cam for years. He joined the league just to play with me, to do something with me. And so they could do anything they'd go anywhere they wanted. A lot of people wanted Cam, pretty good fullback. And so I was, I would understood, but because of the loyalty they were showing to me, anyone talking to me, I said, well, I got my guys that want to come with me, and there were some teams that were just interested in me, and I know Cam had some teams reach out to him, and Doug had some teams reach out, and I talked to one team. And I said, I'll mothball my player and just coach if there's a spot for those guys, and there was, we talked about that. Then ultimately it wasn't as good a fit as where we're going to go. So just loyalty. I myself have been loyal sometimes to a fault. And so it's a pretty strong streak in me. And when somebody's that loyal to me, I just can't betray that. So, no.
I definitely understand that, Coach.
Yeah.
That it does build character, and people know that they can trust you and know that you're going to have their back ultimately. Fast forward kind of to Coach's Corner, Brian Craven.
Oh, okay.
So how did you get that idea to do that? And what are some of the topics that you enjoy discussing on your show?
Well, I got the idea from doing your show, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just do some little thing, and it started out just a little 5-minute kind of I'd hit on a couple of games I liked. I had the cool award for something I thought was cool. It might be, and I. Yeah, well, and I didn't. You threw for 500 yards and 9 touchdowns. I didn't. Like somebody else is going to give me an award for that. It might be for 1 interception. I remember Kappa Jones had like a 100-yard interception. One of the first shows I did, and it was really cool. It was really the only play he made in the game, but it was a cool play, so he got a cool award. Just stuff like that. And I've always had people. I started out as a communications major in college, and I did some broadcasting and some announcing for the basketball games before I started playing for the basketball team. And stuff like that. And then I've had people ask me. I have people ask me all the time if I'm on the radio. No, and when I hear my voice, to me, it has kind of a nasally quality to it. It doesn't sound good, to me. But I've had enough people say that, and I think on your show at one point I go, wow, I sound like my dad right now, and I always thought my dad had a good voice. So anyway, all that kind of came together. I started doing the show, and here we are. I think probably a couple, Doug and I used to do a lot more, and we're gonna start doing them again. His place in San Diego, he didn't have the space to really spread out and do much of anything. His laptop, even just doing it on his laptop, is like balancing on his knee. Now we've got more space, things like that. So we're gonna do more. We're gonna start doing more stuff. I love doing shows with Slim.
Yes.
We just sit down and have a conversation. It's fun, and he's a really good co-host. He does a good job. Both he and Doug do a fantastic job. We play off very well, and that's fun. So one of my favorite episodes that I did, Doug and I did one, and we just call it the "You're More Than the Number Next to Your Name" episode, and we're talking about values. And it's funny how quickly things have changed in the league, because at that point there was I remember talking to some GMs before the draft where we had the supplemental draft. Mm-hmm. And I remember just chatting with a couple of GMs that said they were concerned about, people being low value. And there are some people in the SFLm worried about coming in at such low value. And I had just finished my rookie season, and I'd signed as a base copper because I didn't go through the draft. I re-signed with Vancouver, and that was how it worked then, right?
Right.
Base copper. And I made the All-Star game, so I had a fun season. I had a productive season. And I had started doing a show, and so we started doing this thing about, if you're just thinking about your player value and on the field stuff, you're really only getting part of the experience that you can get from the league. No judgment if that's all you want or all your time allows with your life, but there is so much more available. And so that was a really fun show. Doug and I did another show where we were just speculating, and we knew. He said just the goofiest stuff. We knew where everyone was going. We were talking about Lone Star, and I'd been announced as the offensive coordinator, so everybody knew I was going there. And I think Adam Wiseman was like, or maybe EJ Minson was like, well, we know where Doug's going, So that's why we're not announcing I'm an OC with the team now, because I don't want to steal Doug's thunder. I don't want to, I want to let him have some fun.
Yeah.
But we did one where Doug was talking about where everyone was going to go. Okay. All the free agents were going to go, and he had this thing. He was talking about Dave Axis and saying he was on a yacht with Beyonce and James something. And I'm sitting here listening to him going, "What are you talking about?" And then when I edited the show, I didn't cut it off in time. And so they got about 10 minutes of he and I talking afterwards. And it was funny. I was just like, what the heck was that? And he goes, oh God, I was dying. We were laughing and everything. And then I just uploaded the show, and people were like, did you mean to leave that in there? And I was like, well, yeah, when I heard it, I thought it was kind of funny, so I left it. I'm kind of going off now, but
it's good.
Those were fun shows. Well, and this is anyone thinking about doing this. And we got a lot of nice. It's so funny because you were basically, when I joined, you were the only one. We got Dave's show, we got Tyler's show, we got my show, we've got
Nelson
does a nice show. Christian Brown, I think, and Benny.
Yeah, Senpai.
Yeah. We've got some nice shows. Anyone thinking about doing it, they should do it. And one of the things to me, my early ones, I really scripted them out because I didn't want to have a lot of. I didn't want to have a lot of ums and and stuff in there, and they just sounded so wooden. And I think we're a lot better off. So anyone thinking about doing it, just be yourself. if your content's good, if your subject matter is good, just be yourself and let it flow, and just relax and have a conversation with your listener, which is what I try to do, and it just flows a whole lot better.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
All right. So, something that I do want to kind of ask you, Coach, in regards to the things that are coming down the pipeline as far as ownership and things like that. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the changes that have to be made?
Well, that's kind of a broad question. You have anything more specific within that, or that you'd like to hear about?
With the subscription prices going up, and that possibly having effect on playership, players leaving, things like that, and even owners. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I can see the perspective of someone that'd be like, that's it. You've got X amount of money. Not everybody's got a lot of extra cash. Don't think that's going to get any better anytime soon. Our economy is not booming anymore. So people are going to have to make decisions, and every little bit counts. It's easy to argue, well, it's just a few bucks compared to what it was, and that's true, but at some point there's a tipping point. I think that Cam has plans and needs and, infrastructure needs, if you will. We're doing this website that costs money, have these things that we would like to do and he would like to do, and that's wonderful, and that does take some money. I don't know all the behind the scenes details. What I will say, and I know that Cam and everyone else is aware of this, the worry that I have in the back of my mind is we're still building this on a foundation of a game that is however many years old now, came out in 2008. And at some point, we're going to run out of Xboxes, and we're going to run out of copies of the games. We're not making any more of those. And so I certainly, I would hate for us to be building a house on the sand that could go away at any time. I know I'm not the only person that's thought of that. I know that Cam is aware of that. I know that everyone involved is aware of that, and that's part of what they're doing. I'd like to see us address that if we can somehow.
Absolutely. I actually plan on having Cam on the show. If not this week, probably sometime next week. Just kind of pick his brain. We always do like a after the season kind of thing. And there's a couple questions that I want to ask him that people have been asking me to ask him, that kind of thing too. So yeah, it should be interesting. That'll be one of them.
He's usually pretty good about answering those questions, and he gets it when you ask him something in good faith, he gets it. So I'm not too concerned about that. But I you always want to know what you're getting for what you're doing. I mean, that feels a little bit of a mercenary attitude to have, but it's just a fact. It's just a reality of the circumstance that we are paying money, so what's coming out of this for us? And I think as long as then it's easier. This isn't the right phrase for it, but it's easier to swallow the changes or the increases.
I totally understand what you mean, though. I'm just kind of curious about what your thoughts were on that. But tell me, Bryant, how did you deal with this COVID situation? And I've been kind of adding to everybody, but did you lose your mind a little bit? Were you stuck in a house? Were you still able to kind of travel? Like, how did you do that?
Well, I did whatever I darn well pleased, and I know that may offend a few people. I mean, I wore a mask because, if I go into a business and they want me to wear a mask, then that's their business, and I can do that. Now we're at this point where people are of two minds about the thing. If you're still doing it, I'm going somewhere else, and you may not get my business back again, simply because I don't need you. I can find somebody else. But for me personally, it came at a pretty big cost because all of it came at a big cost because my job at the school and the end result was good because I'm here somewhere that I'm really happy to be. I probably would not have left Oregon if my job hadn't gone away. And so, but I completely drained my savings living off my savings. This isn't a huge deal, but I was Oregon had a hard time with the unemployment, getting some of the unemployment stuff squared away. I still have not had it, and I'm still fighting it because there's almost a year worth of unemployment that I'm supposedly owed, and I need a new motorcycle. So I kind of want that money. No, absolutely. I mean, it's at the point now where it's enough of a chunk of change that they said I was due that it's kind of like, well, let's see if we can solve this. But there were about 60,000 people in the state of Oregon that never got their unemployment that were owed it. I was one of them. Was able to live off my savings and off the good graces of some friends that said, hey, come live with us. You don't need to pay us rent or anything. And then when we did have coaching, we had football in the spring, and a buddy of mine that I used to coach with asked me to come help out. Mm-hmm. And we had our last game, and 2 days later I was on the train moving to Oklahoma. So, wow. But that worked out. It gave me a nice little infuse. I made, they paid me. I got a little bit of money out of that so I could have a little bit of fun on the way out here. By taking the train instead of just flying or whatever. And so that was fine. So, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but yeah, it affected me a great deal. But it, I think maybe like a lot of times in life, sometimes you're able to make lemonade out of lemons. And in my case, I kind of felt like I was able to do that because it did fundamentally change my life. If you'd have told me 3 years ago or 2 years ago that I was going to move to Oklahoma and like it, I don't think I would have believed that. But it worked out pretty well. I love the people here and I love my job and I'm having a good time. So,
And that's a blessing, because not everybody was as fortunate, and
with
dealing with those circumstances, losing loved ones, actually contracting it themselves and having to fight that battle and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blessing, that it didn't hit certain people, too hard.
Yeah, well, and I think that's one of the things. I think, and we're in a situation now where you're either one or the other. You're red or white. You're black or blue. You're up or down. You can't be. There can't be. We're not doing a very good job as a whole, having nuance. And when we push back, when some of us push back on some of the things that were done, we're not saying that people weren't affected by this. Both of my, Doug and his wife both had it, and it was not good for them. And I do know that we lost some people that we might not have. That maybe something else would have done it. There's a lot of things involved with that, and I feel like you can acknowledge those things and have compassion for those things, and say we didn't do it the right way, and so that's and that can be true of a lot of things. So it's just, I think we're going to look back on this time period and hopefully we can shrug it off and say, all right, a lot of failures there, but
it's how you grow from your failures.
It is, and we've had dark times in our history before, and so things that we had a hard time getting through, and we did. So here we are. And what are we going to do now? Are we going to dwell on it? Or are we going to move forward and do the best we can?
That's a great point. That is a very great point, man. Last question.
Once in a while, I get lucky. Once in a while, I get lucky. Have a good point.
So what is some advice that you would give? And it's kind of a two-part question. What is some advice that you'd want to give to players that are looking to kind of step into that coaching realm for the league? And then what advice would you give to the rookies as far as just basic advice on how to progress their players and how to reach out to different owners and things like that?
Well, okay, so you're getting into my wheelhouse. That's a lot of what I'm doing with San Jose right now. I'm not doing any of the the last 2 seasons I haven't done any of the coaching, other than once in a while I give them a little bit of advice. I'm still doing that job, and I'm using air quotes, of course, to kind of try to help out rookies. I've got Doug Day and Yogi Barr doing progressions for the guys, helping the guys with that. They're both really good at that, better than I am. And I've got some guys I've got some guys on staff that are there just to help out, just to answer questions and do things. It's funny, Rastelli, the beginning of the year said, "Really, you've got 11 guys on your staff?" And I was like, well, you know, and you look, I don't know how closely you've looked, but you see San Jose and there's like all these assistants, you know, it's kind of funny, but they are there for the, I almost called them kids. I'm so used to coaching teenagers. I call rookies kids. Some of these guys are my age. They're there to help the rookies with stuff like that. And then the first thing I say when I get somebody is like, any questions you got, DM me, and a lot of them do, and we'll kind of talk through stuff. And then the coaching part, to do that, and this is a conversation we're having, it's hard, and you guys in Arizona know full well, because Eddie's been going all by himself. It is tedious when you start out. You got to learn. A big way to do it is to learn how to scout, and just looking at the play. I mean, I'm at the point now where I look to play and I know the play in the formation just like that. It's taken a few seasons, and it takes a little bit, and actually working with the playbook. I also, when I joined the league, I wanted to coach. In fact, I wasn't even thinking much about having a player. I thought, it'd be fun to try that out. I got the game. I already had a 360. I got the game, and I started just messing around, simming with that. Not exactly the same, obviously, because you only have like 10 stars on the base game, and you know there's a few things like that. But I started learning how to put together a playbook and doing some of that, and so that, I mean, that's the advice that I have for people. But as far as wanting to get into coaching, but it's a little bit of an investment. The game costs more than it should because it's so popular and so revered and so rare. It's harder to find Vintage. It now. Yeah. So, I mean, the last one I got was like $30. I had to replace the disc was scratched, and it was $30 to buy a used game. You know, yeah. So, you know, that's part of the equation. But for the coaching is get in and learn scouting. If you learn to scout, you're very marketable. You're an incredible asset. That's another thing that I have at San Jose. I've got Will Todd as my director of scouting, and to be honest, we've got some guys in there that are learning to scout, but they still haven't picked up on the grind of that yet, and I don't think they realize how significant it is.
Very.
About half the time I just give the offense. I give art. I say this is what the defense is doing. So in your sims, you know, run these coverages, and
yeah, I mean,
just go from there, because
that's some great advice, you know. And I try to increase your draft stock by doing so, by showing that you can be much more than just a player, because we can get players anyway, 100%. But it is how you are willing to contribute more that will have teams looking at you a little bit more and like, okay, yeah, well, this person's not only players, or even if your player is not as good as it could be, at least now we know that you're actually going to be trying and invest in the team. And I think that's what we're actually looking for. No. Oh,
yeah. And it doesn't have to be. And then, you know, we've heard this other places too. It doesn't have to be just scouting coaching. You can be doing, we've got teams that do social media stuff, have a lot of things with that. We've got teams that do video stuff, we've got a lot of really interesting things that that again, you kind of laugh sometimes, like, really, we're doing all of that with this, but like, Louisiana has that Swamp Talk magazine, and they do all this stuff with that, and some of the graphics and videos that some of these guys do. We've got a couple of guys on San Jose that'll do they'll do highlight videos every week just for the team. Right. And I tell them, put that stuff out there so teams know you can do that. You don't see me making videos. Had to be awful if I had no skill whatsoever. I'm like a caveman pounding on a rock when I'm playing around with my laptop. But there's a lot of ways to do that, and you're right. And I've heard it said before, and I didn't say it, but I've heard it said from a couple people. You can build a player, but the fit within the team and the locker room and what you bring, and I have a story that illustrates that perfectly. Now things have changed a little bit because we don't have, when I came into the league, we had 17. My rookie season was when they went up to 17 contract players. Okay. But still, it was like a 3-round draft, and that was the biggest draft we'd had at that point, or something, I believe. And I remember during, Andy Hamilton was great about saying, talk to owners, get your relationships with these guys, ask questions, all that stuff. He was, I knew he wanted to re-sign me, but he said, you have to do what's best for you, all of that stuff. So I was chatting with some owners, and pretty soon I start getting a little bit of, I've got people coming back, because you remember how how if you joined the league, you'd put the position you wanted to play next to your name. We didn't have the minors and all that stuff. Yeah. And I put any position or anything or something like that, because I didn't really, it was like whatever the team needs, right? Well, that got some interest. So I had some people talking to me there. But then the other thing was, I was interested in coaching, interested in scouting. I wanted to learn that stuff. And I remember chatting with Crash Combs when he was still in the league. And I really liked Crash. And I thought, Seattle, that'd be pretty good. And Crash like, well, you're not going to be there. He said, I'd love to have you, but you're not going to be there when we pick. I go, what are you talking about? You're at the bottom. You're at the bottom of the draft. You guys, he goes, yeah, you're going to go top 5. Like, what? Why would I go top 5? And I was still thinking in terms of player value, because I was only going to have like 8 weeks, And he's like, you're not getting it. It's not just your player value. And then I re-signed with Vancouver rather than going into the draft. But now I understand. I might have gone that high because of my interest in doing a little bit more. And that's a big one. That's a big one for a lot. And you watch some of our rookies, and they don't all get that quite yet. We haven't quite got the message through to them yet. And especially the last couple seasons, there's always been a couple guys that are like, why didn't I get drafted? It's like, well, we never see you except maybe game day. I don't know what you're doing in your locker room, but it's not personal. It's just, it's what the league is now. There's more involvement than just showing up. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you have to understand that you're not quite as valuable as you would be if you were bringing more to the table. So
yeah. Absolutely. Now, it's not to say that you won't be chosen, but at the same time, if people don't know you and what you can do, or even just know you, period, it's really hard to find people. And if you're not in the chat, if you don't know their actual Discord information, it's really hard to find people. And so it is good to be able to get yourself out there on these shows. You have Dave Axis, you have your show, you have Netma, you have Nelson Lanzano show inside the league. So we have all these different things that we can get you out there and get the person out there so that we all will know.
Or do something yourself.
There you go.
That's good too, and that shows a little bit. It's absolutely true. And there are still, I think, owners in the league that just want your player, and I'm not taking shots at anyone. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll be critical of a way an owner does things, but I'm not. Sometimes you got your team. You want to make sure you have the best build value you can. Don't really care if they're that active, as long as they don't ghost you on missing progression. Right. That's all you need to know. So I get that, but a lot of people want a lot more than that. And even if that's all you want, you need to know them a little bit because you need them to check in every week and do their progressions. And we had some high profile guys last season just leave. Some guys that, you know, so it's still all of that. That's just a, you know, that's why if any young players, new players are wondering, that's why we keep talking about that stuff. Is we got to know you. We're putting a little bit into you. And it's so hard to win and compete if you're constantly turning your roster over, and so you want to know that you got people that are going to stick. And
absolutely. Well, Bryant, it was beautiful having you on the show, man. And please feel free to come back whenever you want to. I'll be happy to have you.
Okay.
And maybe we can go over some of these SFLm games, especially since you're over there controlling the sticks in San Jose.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I do want to say, if you don't mind, I want to say that the SFLm is pretty interesting to watch, and I've watched it every year just because I'm a little bit obsessed with that stuff. But I'm going to be perfectly honest. That first season, I was banging my head against the wall a few times because we didn't have the in-season progression. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned this on the last show that Slyn and I did. You didn't have that in-season progression, so you had whatever check-ins you had. And, you know, poor Ace, you know, he was on my team on San Jose. And it's like, Coach, why can't I make some of these throws? And I was like, well, because your throw power isn't up that high yet, you know, because we're just getting started. There were plays I just simply wouldn't use because I knew I couldn't run them.
Right.
Because of how the players would, you know, I'd have a receiver wide open, the ball doinks off his hand, you know, can't make the catch, and quarterback can't make the throw, and sometimes the gameplay was a little bit painful that first season.
Yeah.
But now with these builds, you know, you got some 2-season guys in there, and the coaching, the guys, you've got some multi-season coaches in there that have gotten better at it too. And
absolutely.
Yeah, the SFLm it's a lot of fun to watch, and I you know, I don't know if there's anyone out there that doesn't know this, but seriously, give it a look. It's pretty good.
You should. I mean, it's almost like they're putting up some numbers like we would do in the majors, like, and they are,
and they're making plays. You see plays that you didn't see. I've seen a couple. I saw a really nice interception, and I commented on it, and I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry, dude. But I saw an interception. You didn't see that the first couple of seasons. Now it's pretty good, and you've seen some catches. You know, Art Vandelay is famous for a catch he made the first season. Well, now we've seen guys make that catch. You know, Art's not so special anymore. I'm kidding, Art. I'm just kidding. So you know, it's a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying that a great deal.
Awesome, man. And I catch every game that I can, whether it's in the majors or in the minors, because I kind of want to have an idea as to what's going on and what other teams are doing. And this recent game with, I believe it was Tacoma and Ottawa, that went down to overtime, and you had people he tried to do I think the guy, I can't remember his name, I want to say it's Brad Jones, but he went up, tried to do the Art Vandelay catch, and the ball literally missed his fingertips. And then on Ottawa side, I think they tried to kick a field goal and they missed it. It was just like, oh my God, the drama is real, even in the minors. So it's great. So if anybody out there that want to watch it, I'll always put it in the description.
Oh yeah. Well, how about the week before that when San Jose won on a Hail Mary with time running out? Stuff
like that. Those are storybook scripts that you can't write. And then for you to be a rookie and see yourself do that, that's amazing.
Pretty fun stuff. Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty fun stuff.
But Brian, thank you so much. I will be having you on again during this off season, discussing more ideas and things like that. But I cannot let you go without giving you the last word. So that can be a song, that can be a poem, or that can be a shout out. But right now, Brian, the floor is yours.
Nothing has changed since the first time I did your show. As a customer, as a public service, I'm not going to sing.
Dang it.
Well, I don't know if you missed when I was on Dave Axis' show again after a while. He said, "Where are you?" And I sang the opening line to Oklahoma, that Oklahoma where the wind comes.
Oh, heck no! So if you can sing on his show, then you can sing on this one. I don't want to hear that.
I was a little bit drunk. I'd been drinking when I got on Dave's show. All I've been drinking is Mountain Dew here. So, shout out. I'm going to get. Well, I mentioned them briefly. I'm going to give a shout out to my coordinators and the guys doing the work for San Jose. Will Todd with the scouting, best scout in the league, and frankly, just an awesome guy. Someday, Will and I are going to be on the same team as players because I love that guy. Same goes with Art Vandelay doing the offensive coordinator position, and Colin Pierce, who is going to be leaving the league after we're done. Got a little baby and got some stuff kind of going on, but they've been doing a great job. I love those guys, and I really appreciate all the work that they've put in, as well as Evan Lacey, Van Lacey, his players named after his son, Yogi and Doug for doing the progressions, all of those things. Those guys are wonderful, and they've been doing a heck of a lot of good work for us. And I'm blessed that they were willing to join me on this. So that's what I'm going to end with. Fantastic,
man. Well, I'm looking forward to having you back on again. Maybe you can bring your brother joined at the hip, Mr. Doug Day, with you.
Yeah, we're trying to get the same schedule because I've got and I'm not ordinarily off on Monday and Tuesday, but even so, he and I have a different 2 days off. So we got to get that figured out, or else we're never gonna. Charles keep telling me we got to go into Oklahoma City and go to this barbecue place. I'm like, well, it's not gonna happen. We're not working the same schedule, so we got to make that happen. So.
Yeah, priorities. You got to get that
barbecue. Right. I hear it's really good. So,
well, you let me know. Are you planning on going to the convention too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be seeing y'all there. We can get some of that Texas barbecue. I heard that's pretty good too.
Yeah. Well, isn't Mike St. Green going to be hooking us up at least one of those days?
I think so.
I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. But
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate you, honey. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Anytime.
I'll try.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, everybody. And that is it. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Special shout out and thanks goes out to Mr. Mike Tinscrew, Mr. T-Roy Gaines, and Mr. Brian Craven for being on the show. I really appreciate you coming out, y'all. And if you want to be on the show, please don't hesitate to ask. Just hit my DMs. Be able to get back at you. We can set up a time and a place to have our special time together, all right? But looking forward to bringing you all another great podcast next week. But until then, y'all, stay safe, treat each other well. Striker